Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Framing Chronicles. I'm your host, Sheila McCumbee. I'm a certified small business consultant for strategies for success. And I work as a consultant for small businesses, mostly in the art and framing community, but I also work with other retailers as well. So today on our podcast, we're going to ask the age-old question, can you truly build a booming business and maintain a blissful marriage? Or is your significant other destined to become just another line item on your things I neglect list? So, if your idea of a romantic evening involves poring over a spreadsheet, or if your spouse has started communicating you solely through post it notes stuck on your forehead, you're in the right place. So join me today as I attempt to find the elusive sweet spot between crushing your quarterly goals and still having someone to cuddle with. Laptops are warm and all, but snuggling with your sweetie, it's a lot more fun and usually doesn't have pointy edges. So you may be asking, why why is she talking about marriages when she's a business coach? Why is it important to talk about this? And absolutely, business is all about analyzing numbers. But here are some numbers that we probably need to talk about, that the divorce rate among small business owners is, depending on the study, 5 to 10% higher than the national average. So while knowing your numbers is important in a business, there are other more important numbers that we really need to pay attention to. Running a business absolutely takes a toll on your relationships. And a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs that I deal with, maybe who are just starting out, kind of romanticize the idea of starting their own business. And they're envisioning freedom and rewards of being their own boss. And it is and can be all those things, but I kind of have to do a little bit of a reality check and sometimes a smackdown, smash some of those dreams. I tell the joke that, hey, yeah, I have my own business. I work 80 hours a week for myself because I didn't want to work 40 hours a week for somebody else. And being an entrepreneur can be really fulfilling, but it's crucial to acknowledge the immense physical and mental toll that it takes, not just on yourself as an individual. And I talked about that in my last week's podcast, but it takes a big toll on your relationship. And my academic background is actually a long journey, but my book learning is in human services. And in my degree, I had to focus on marriage and family therapy and a minor in gerontology. So it's from this perspective that I want to emphasize this often overlooked aspect of business ownership. It has a profound impact on personal relationships, especially marriages. And running a small business often demands this all consuming commitment of time and energy. And this can lead to really long hours, constant stress, and financial pressures that will inevitably spill over into your personal life. The emotional and physical exhaustion experienced by entrepreneurs can leave little room for nurturing a relationship, leading to feelings of neglect, resentment, and isolation for partners. While we can focus on the essential business aspects like, budgets and profit margins, ignoring the psychological and relational challenges faced by business owners, I feel that would be a disservice to my clients. So let's talk about it. It's important. I mean, we're really going to talk about it today. So, in this podcast, I'm hoping to shed light on some of these less talked about struggles. So, please remember that while my insights are informed on my educational background, I'm not at all acting in the capacity as a licensed therapist. Um, the content that we're going to be talking about is just for educational purposes and not a substitute in any way for professional therapy. But understanding the significant strain that owning a small business places on marriages and relationships is a vital step toward equipping business owners with kind of a more holistic view of success, which is my goal as a mentor and coach. I value my clients and I want to help them both with their business ventures and have a better understanding of their personal well-being. All those things marry together, pun intended, to help your business and your personal life be successful and happy. So, is it possible? How do we have a happy relationship and a happy business? Now, being a small business owner is like trying to juggle chainsaws and recite the Gettysburg Address at the same time. It's really impressive if you can do it, but most likely it's going to end in tears and maybe a missing hand or limb. As impossible as it seems sometimes, it is possible to have both and maybe even keep all your fingers. So here's how to keep your marriage thriving when your business feels like this clingy, high maintenance toddler. I want you to think about your spouse and remember right now, they are your OG angel investor. They may have invested financially, they're for sure investing in you spiritually and mentally and their time in that relationship. When they signed up to be with you, it was for richer and for poorer, but it wasn't for richer, for poorer, and for you to spend 18 hours a day in a dimly lit workshop trying to put four sticks together. So, how can we strengthen our relationships? What are some things that we can do today to actually strengthen your marriage and make your relationships with your entire family be better? The thing you can do right now, okay, I want you to do this. Get your phone, maybe talk to your spouse first, but you got this cool thing on your phone called a calendar. Say it with me, calendar. Okay. So get into that calendar and actually schedule us time. Schedule it like your most important meeting that you're going to have with a super important investor. And I know sometimes that doesn't seem spontaneous and romantic, but just schedule it. Just do it. You need to schedule time with your sweetheart. And don't just, if you just hope, well, we'll find time eventually. I'm going to find time for my spouse. You're not going to find that time. I mean, let's be real. Put it on the calendar. Date night, mandatory attendance. The penalty for a no-show is that whoever doesn't show up, they get sole control over the remote for the weekend or for the week. And guess what? We're watching Great British Baking Show and YouTube videos of baby goats. So treat that appointment, that scheduled time with just you and your sweetheart with the same reverence that you would give to your biggest client because they're more important than your biggest client. Also, remember why you married them. And it wasn't for their ability to proofread your marketing copy. Before the business consumed your soul, there probably was some love there. So try and reconnect with that once in a while. Look at those old photos and remind yourself why this of this person that, actually laughs at your dad jokes once in a while. In my relationship, I had, it always seems like when you're going through a tough time together and your business is usually having issues, and then something in the house has to break, of course. So one night we're having some issues and we're at Home Depot and we had to be in the plumbing aisle. And there's some, things in plumbing that are called um, words that can be kind of dirty. And so the 12-year-olds and us were like, oh, that's a ball cock valve. Or, there's things. I'm not going to go into it anymore. But I don't want to get banned from the channel. But we started just giggling like a bunch of 12-year-old, like two 12-year-olds in the middle of Home Depot. And everything we saw after that was dirty. And then when we went into the lubrication aisle, yeah, that was it, okay. Use your imagination. So it was I'm 12 and I'm laughing like that. But when that was happening, I looked at him and I'm like, now I remember why I loved you. Yeah, I like this guy, and so you'll have those moments and relationships are a living thing. They need a little bit of food and water and just a little bit of love, but remember why you married this person. Why are you with them? And and that kind of helps you get through those rough spots. And of course, this is pretty obvious, but the power of communication, it's more than just like I'm drowning in work. And marriage is typically, so I told you my background is, human services. That's what I went to college for. I spent 5 years figuring out that there are really just three things that usually break up a marriage, or that cause problems in a marriage. And one is obviously money. That's the one thing universally I think that most couples fight over. Two is intimacy. Wink, wink. I can't say the S word on this platform, I don't believe. But yeah, when you're working all the time, it's kind of hard to find time for alone time with your sweetheart, and that can lead to all kinds of problems. And then the third is division of labor. Again, the time commitment that is required for owning a business, that's going to bleed over into your personal life. And if you don't start communicating, think of your marriage as a finely tuned sports car. It's gonna, if you don't maintain it and put oil in the engine, or in the oil thingy in the engine, and change the spark plugs once in a while and check your tires, it's gonna start making weird noises, and then smoke's gonna start coming out, and eventually it's gonna seize up and stop working. So let's talk about our number one struggle that we have, and all marriages usually struggle with money. But money can be a major stressor, and it especially hits hard with small business owners. So think of it, one day the business is booming, the next day you're wondering where your next dollar is coming from. And that kind of unpredictable income, plus all the money and risk that you're pouring into this venture, means a lot of conversations about cash and debt and reinvesting profits are pretty much constant and often super tense. So for small business owners, the lines between, what's personal money and what's business money often get kind of blurry. And this can lead to arguments about everything from how much to spend on groceries to whether you should take a salary at all. And this constant financial tightrope walk can really wear down trust and build up resentment, and ultimately put a huge strain on marriage for both partners as we try to navigate all this uncertain financial future together. It's really a tough spot to be in. And second, intimacy. Running a small business isn't just about money. It can really sneak up on your marriage's intimacy too. When you're constantly putting out fires, working late nights, and stressing about every little detail, it leaves precious little energy for your partner. And you may come home utterly drained, physically and mentally. And this is and the last thing on your mind is having any kind of connection or romance. So the business, it almost becomes like a third person in the relationship. And it's always demanding attention and always taking a priority. And so the shared laughter and quiet moments and even just simple affection can start to feel like luxuries that you can't afford when your business needs you 24/7. It's a really tough balance to strike, and often intimacy is the first casualty. And the third challenge that most marriages face is division of labor. And let's face it, getting that equitable division of labor right in a marriage is already a dance. And when you throw a small business in the mix, it's like trying to walk on Legos in bare feet. One partner might be pouring all their time and energy into the business and often working all these crazy hours that we work, which means that the other partner ends up shouldering a much heavier load at home. And that could be managing the household, raising the kids, or handling all the daily errands and tasks. Even if both partners are involved in the business, there can be an unspoken assumptions or even resentment if one person feels like they're doing more of the grunt work or less visible tasks, well, the other person gets more of the spotlight. It's easy for the scales to tip. And when one person feels like they're constantly picking up the slack, this can lead to some simmering frustration and a real sense of unfairness, even if both truly want to support each other. So, what are some ways that we can help strengthen those relationships? Number one, we need to make sure that in your home you have a no business zone rule. And there are places where business talk goes to die. The bedroom, absolutely. No business talk in the bedroom. The dinner table, no. You really shouldn't be talking about business when you're having a family meal. Your anniversary celebration, for the love of all that's holy, no. So establish those sacred spaces where the only talk is about fun things and puppies, your day, good jokes you heard, what you're going to watch on Netflix tonight, and whose turn it is to take out the trash. I struggled with this in my family. I would come home sometimes and I'd be, I'm passionate about my business and what I do. So I'd be like, oh my gosh, guys, guess what? This new molding came in and it's a barnwood, but it's got gold flecks in it and it's so pretty. And I could see my family, I could see their eyes just glaze over and be like, oh, and the teenagers, of course, are like, make her stop talking about frames for the love of all that's holy. So all of us, of course, we all need to vent and complain about work. It's totally normal, but have a little self-awareness. Me, your spouse doesn't really need to know the intricacies of your quarter three projections or why synergy is the most important word in your vocabulary. Just learn to say things like, honey, I'm stressed today because the frame shipment was delayed and it's going to have this domino effect and it's going to mess up all my workflow and my customers are going to be yelling and screaming at me for the next week. So I'm not having a happy day. Instead of saying, well, our supply chain optimization strategy is encountering unforeseen logistical bottlenecks, impacting our projected ROI. Just simplify things. Okay. Your family and your spouse is going to appreciate the clarity and the lack of all your business buzzwords and vernacular. And this is the big one, kids. In marriages, any relationship, and in your business too, it pays to be a good listener. Don't just nod and mumble when your spouse is talking. Put down your phone. When your spouse starts talking to you about something, give them a little respect. Put down your phone, turn off your laptop, and actually listen. They wash your dirty underwear and they mow the lawn and they fix your car. They deserve your full attention. And, pretend they're a potential investor, except way more important, and they share your bed. Truly listen to your spouse's concerns and feelings without judgment and understand their perspective on how the business affects them and the family. And everybody, especially in relationships, we all need a safe space to be able to say our truth and talk about what's bothering us, what's going well, but give your spouse a safe space to talk about things with open and honest dialogue. It's important to be able to discuss the demands of your business from both sides, the impact it has on your relationship and your feelings openly and honestly. Don't let those little issues fester because those little festery things are going to explode into something that you may not be able to clean up later. Your business affects your spouse and your family. So share those ups and downs. Don't shield your partner from the realities of your business. Share the triumphs and share the challenges because this helps them feel your stress and understand it. And it also helps them feel more involved. Now, as far as listening goes, learn how to employ effective listening strategies. So, one is reflective listening. This is a fantastic way to make your partner feel heard and to clear up any miscommunications. So, how do we do it? When your partner shares something, try rephrasing it in your own words, like say, When your spouse tells you, or when you tell your spouse, hey, I have to work late tonight, honey, and she says, okay, fine, it's probably not fine. And women, girls, ladies, we need to do better by also being more communicative and don't say it's fine when it's not fine, but it's probably not fine. And you could say something like, it sounds like by you just saying fine that you're not fine. And maybe you're feeling a little overwhelmed by all the household responsibilities because I'm spending way too much time in the shop. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm feeling. Okay. So thanks for letting me know. I don't want you to feel that way. So maybe how about I'm going to spend just 3 hours tonight. I can't not go there. But when I come home, how about I'll tag team and I'll give the kids a bath and put them to bed, read the stories. You can go have a nice long shower or go watch The Bachelor on TV or whatever you want to do uninterrupted, and I'll bring you a milkshake when I get home. So we good? Yes. So it's easier to solve those problems and to make your spouse feel valued and appreciated if you learn how to reflect back what they're saying. Now, this isn't repeating word for word what they say like a robot. You really need to dig deep a little bit and try and grasp their message and their feelings. And if you're having trouble doing that, ask clarifying questions. If your spouse says, I don't know what to do, and you can say, well, when you say you don't know what to do, can you be more specific about what's making you feel stuck? How can I help support you? And even summarize if you have a longer talk or tirade. That shows that you've been engaged. So you're worried about money and you're feeling unsupported in your career. Did I get that right? This simple act of mirroring back what you hear sincerely builds understanding and makes your partner feel truly heard. Now, timing is everything. If I'm elbow deep in giving the kids a bath, it's probably not the best time to discuss our finances. So it is perfectly acceptable to set up an appointment with each other and say, hey, I've got something it's not bad, but I want to talk to you about this. When would be a good time later tonight? Also, beyond just reflecting is active listening, and that means giving your partner, again, your full undivided attention. This means putting down the phone, making eye contact, showing through your body language that you're present. Try to set aside your own thoughts and judgments. Your goal is to understand their perspective, not to immediately jump in with solutions and criticisms. Also, a big part of communication as human beings is body language. Pay close attention to their tone, the body language, expressions. Sometimes the nonverbal cues tells a way bigger story. If you say, "How are you today, honey?" and they say, I'm fine," and they really mean it with a smile. Oh, okay, good. Fine, different tone. So encourage them to keep sharing with simple affirmations when they're talking to you. Huh, I see. Okay. Wow, really? Validate their feelings by saying things like, wow, I can totally understand why you'd be frustrated by that. Instead of asking yes and no questions, ask open-ended questions like, well, how are you really feeling about this? Or is what's been on your mind? By actively listening, you'll not only avoid misunderstandings, but also it deepens your empathy and it strengthens the emotional bond that you share. Now, with that, there's two main communication styles in us humans. There is some people process information internally, and some people process information externally. And internally processing people never marry each other, and externally processing people never marry each other. It's one of the other. So, myself, I can speak from my own experience that I am an internal processor. So, what does that mean? That means when I get information and I'm having a discussion, I kind of need a minute to just process that and be like, okay. And sometimes in relationships, my boyfriend or partner has said, are you stonewalling me? You're being quiet. I'm like, no, give me a minute. I just need to kind of think about this. Whereas there are other people who are external processors. So that's when they come home and they kind of just vomit a lot of information all over you. Like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what happened today. Microwaving Mike always he puts fish in the microwave today at work. And Brenda tried to throw me under the bus on that project and blah, 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 blah. So when you have people who process externally, some of us internal processors are like, okay, I need to jump in and help them solve this problem and figure it out. Sometimes you really don't need to do that. They just need to process this. And I'm going like this because it is kind of like a loop that they go in, but that's how their brain works. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's totally okay. But what you can do, maybe at the beginning of the tirade, just say, sweetheart, darling, love of my life, I just need to know right now, are you just needing to vent and talk about this? Or do I need to help you come up with a solution? What would you like? What would be the best thing? And usually they'll say, hey, I just need to vent. And if you can be aware of those things and have your partners be like, okay, um, I just need to vent about this. I don't need a solution. Say that at the beginning. Be like, okay, bring it. Ah, Brenda, yeah, she's awful, and engage with that. It's usually just going to take a few minutes and they've processed it and then they're good. So understanding those communication styles is important. As an internal processor, if we are having a more deep discussion or sometimes it gets to be a heated discussion, as an internal processor, I need to go away now and go process that because otherwise I will get upset. Now, I don't get mad very, very often, and I'm usually pretty good at managing my emotions, but I've explained to my sweetheart that if we get into an argument and I say, I need to take a break from this, let me go with respect and dignity because I'm going to walk out the door, but that's because I need 20 minutes to calm down, get the hormones out of my body that are making me feel anger and just chill out for a minute and then I'll come back. I'm not abandoning you. I'm not trying to shut you down or stonewall. I just need some time to process this. And then I'll come back and I'll be in a more calm and relaxed state and we can talk about this and carry on. So know how you communicate. Another thing that we struggle with, gosh, you're so passionate about your business and you're in it 24/7 and thinking about it all the time. But it's really important to set clear boundaries and don't sleep with your laptop instead of your spouse. When you come home, you're home. When you're at work, you're at work. And it is hard to shut off our brain and not think about work 24/7. But if you let that business life come into your personal life and into your home, it's gonna act like a little needy toddler and it's gonna eat all of your snacks and jump in your bed and kick you in the head and hog all the covers. So I have a dear friend who is an attorney and he was also a district attorney for several years. And uh, he's been a dear friend of mine forever and his wife as well. And one time we were having dinner together and his wife, they mentioned something that they did that I thought was genius. So he's an attorney. He talks to bad guys all day long. He's in court, trying to put bad guys in jail. And he was finding his wife finally told him, it's like, honey, when you come home, you're cross-examining our children and they don't even want to be around you. Instead of daddy's home, they're like, dad's home, run for your life, save yourselves. So of course he felt terrible about that. He's like, yeah, that's not the dad I want to be. That's not the spouse I want to be. So what he did, he was very mindful on his way home from work after, dealing with criminals all day long. He'd play some relaxing music and tried to have a little bit of decompression time in the vehicle on the way home. And then When he came home, they had hooks hanging up right inside their door when you walk in. He would take off his necktie and hang it on the hook. And that physical act of doing that, he's like, okay, I'm not a lawyer anymore. I'm not a DA anymore. I'm daddy and husband. So here I am. And things got a lot better from there on. I put that into practice in my own life. We had a little bush outside our door. It was a little lilac bush. And so when I came home from a very stressful day, again, I try and listen to funny podcast, a comedian, something that we put kind of change my mood a little bit, stop, reel in my monkey mind brain and not think about work. And I pretended like I had little cards with all my worries written on them. And I take those imaginary cards. Okay, I'm weird, I know, but this is what I would do. I take those imaginary cards and hang them on the lilac bush. Be like, okay, that's gonna go there. And then I could walk in the door and be present for my family and be, a little bit nicer to hang around instead of distracted and worried about the things going on in my business. And the funny thing is, when I came out in the morning, a lot of those troubles had just magically blown away, even though they were imaginary. It's like if the physical act of doing that really helped me, and I hope it helps you. And yeah, I am kind of a weirdo, but hey, try it. Set those boundaries. It's very important. In addition to that, a lot of us, we have to work from home sometimes. That's just the reality of owning a business. But if you can, try and have a dedicated workspace. And if not, at least put your laptop or tablet or phone or whatever, put it in a different room or in a drawer at night and make that workspace very distinct from your regular living areas, especially, when you have to work from home. This helps create a mental and physical separation between business and home. Now, this is the hard part, and this is something that all marriages struggle with is finances. For the love and sanity, make sure that you keep your business finances separate from your personal ones. Nobody wants to argue whether dog food is a business expense. And most fights in a relationship are about money. So keep those boundaries. Business finances are always separate from your personal finances. There should be different accounts, even different names on the accounts. It's a good idea if you have an LLC or whatever, make sure that that is in a business account completely separate from your regular finances. That just protects you. And then time. Set clear business hours, stick to them as much as possible, and avoid being on call 24/7. And it's hard to shut that down, but you owe it to your spouse, to this person who loves you and has committed to spend the rest of their life with you. They deserve your time when you come home at night. Now, some couples have taken the really brave step of working together and co-owning. So in that case, if you are both working together in a business, it can be an amazing experience or it can be a nightmare. So clearly define each person's roles within that business. What responsibilities do you have? What are the decision-making authority? What do each of you, what categories do those fall under? This reduces friction and it fosters trust. And if necessary, even have a written agreement in place. And even if you're not running a business together, still having those defined roles. What are what are my responsibilities going to be in the business and what are they going to be at home? Once you define those, it just makes things go a little bit easier. Nobody assumes anything. Those roles are clearly defined. Now, the term work-life balance is thrown around a lot these days, but it's really not a myth. It's kind of an elusive unicorn. And everybody talks about it, like I said, but it's not this mythical creature. It's just really, really hard to find when you're responsible for everything. But that work-life balance should be the rule, not the exception. So how do I find it? As business owners, we are often control freaks. And I talked about this in one of my other podcasts, but we need to delegate or die, figuratively mostly, but maybe even literally. Okay, I'm going to say this and it might be hard to hear. You cannot do it all. You are not a superhero. I don't care how much Red Bull you drink, you do not have wings. So hire somebody, outsource, bribe your kids with ice cream to fold the laundry. Seriously, let go of those reins just a little. Your business isn't going to spontaneously combust if you step away for an hour. And wherever you can, delegate and automate. Don't try and do it all yourself at work or at home. Hire a housekeeper and a yard service. Delegate tasks within your business that can be handled by others and automate processes where it's possible to free up your time. So, as a single parent running a small business, I still don't know how I did it. It's kind of all of a blur, but I only had really one day off. And on that one day off, I did not want to spend it cleaning and shopping and doing all the things. I just didn't. And I didn't want to spend it yelling at my boy about why he hadn't done his chores. So I just I hired a cleaning service to come into my house. They come in on Friday, and then my on Sunday, that was my day off. I can sit on the couch. My house is clean and beautiful. My boy and I can go out and do something fun, and we don't have to worry about all those daily chores. And of course, you do have normal chores and things that you have to do throughout the week, but it just made it so much easier for me to do that. Now, on the business side, most POS systems that are in the framing industry have things that you can automate, like emails can be automated, text messages can be automated to your clients, work orders and purchase orders can be automated. So, whatever you can automate, do it. It is worth saving an extra hour or two that I would absolutely rather spend with the people I love than looking at, a frame order. And vacations as a as a business owner, I warn people who are going into business like you will never have a worry-free vacation again in your life. But vacations and time alone with your spouse, that's not optional. It's survival. And yes, you do need to schedule some time weekly with your spouse, a little date night. Doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be, going for a walk or getting an ice cream cone or whatever. Spend time by yourselves, but have time and put in your budget to do a little vacation. And that vacation money could come from, I'm going to charge my customers an extra $5 on every frame order. And hey, guess what? In a month or two, you'll have enough money to take a nice little vacation somewhere. It doesn't have to be, a trip to Tahiti or whatever, but if you can do that, hey, awesome. But maybe just a weekend or a couple days just to get away. Book those trips, go somewhere without Wi-Fi if you have to. Your brain and your spouse is going to thank you. And remember that when you are refreshed and happy entrepreneur is a much less cranky entrepreneur, and you're a lot more fun to be around and work with. And being a small business owner is really, really stressful, but manage that stress like a pro. Learn how to do it because you are a pro. Find something that helps you de-stress that isn't work related. Exercise, a hobby, spending time in nature, screaming into the abyss, whatever works for you, but just make sure that that hobby doesn't involve alienating your spouse. Like golf can be fun and relaxing, but if you're spending 10 hours a day at the golf course on your only day off and no time with your spouse, some resentment might build. Your home and your relationships should be your main priority. When I was growing up, and I'm old, in the 70s and 80s, we were told, hey, women, you can have it all. You can do everything. You know what? I'm 61. You cannot do it all, and you cannot have everything right now. Eventually you can. So I'm talking to the ladies, guys, you can take a break for a minute. You can have it all, but just not right now. And that's okay. You can have some. So you're not going to be able to do all the things all at once. And if you try and do that, it's it's going to make you have some mental problems. So it's okay. to say no and back off a little bit. I love helping people. I love volunteering, but you can dial back on maybe church responsibilities. I cannot, as a small business owner, I can't run the youth ministry. I just can't do it. I could try, but I'm going to make everybody in my life miserable, including myself. I could, I can't be on the board for the animal shelter that I love to support, but I can write them a check. At my church, I can update their website or print out the program for the worship on Sunday. You can do little things, and that's okay, but don't overcommit yourself. Learn to say no. Your home and your relationships need to be your main priority. Like I said, you can have it all, but you just can't have it right now. And when you get to be older and be my age and the kids have left and you're going to have more time on your hands, hey, you can do some of the things. You can do all the things. So, another thing that I think we struggle with and that I struggle with anyway is prioritizing and scheduling. So, I'm easily distracted and I really have to focus. And a shiny object comes by. It's like, oh, squirrel, butterfly, where'd it go? And oh, what was I doing again? 2 hours later. So create daily and weekly and monthly to-do lists and prioritize those most important tasks. So I usually do, for me, this is what works. You can do what works for you. I do a rule of five. So I put down 3 things that I must get done that day, 2 things that would be nice to get done that day, and 1 thing, if I get it done, great. If I don't, that's okay. But if I just even get 1 thing done on my to-do list, I consider that a victory. Yay. But I'm prioritizing the things that are important and it helps me stay focused and I'm a lot more productive. But schedule everything, schedule your personal time, schedule self-care, schedule family activities. Keep those things in your schedule. And scheduling programs, if you need to set appointments with people or whatever, Calendly, it's free. It's a great app. You can get it on your phone, you can get it in your computer. So you can have clients set times with you, but I have times blocked out on my calendar that people can't schedule time for. So that would be time I have with my family, time I have for myself. So go ahead and take advantage of some of those apps and technology that can help you be more focused. Another thing that I do too, I schedule, this is called the Pomodoro method. It's a Japanese time management technique. Pomodoro, Pomodoro, I think is how you spell it. But take some breaks. And so what this method does is you have a timer, you can Google it. There's timers on all over the place on Google. You can have apps that go on your phone. But you set a timer for between about 20, 25 minutes. And during that 20 to 25 minutes, you are hyper focused on this one task from my to-do list. Okay, I'm going to tackle this. I'm going to do this spreadsheet or look at my projections for the next week, or I'm going to figure out this budget. I'm going to pay all my invoices, whatever it is. I'm going to do this, and I've got 25 minutes to get it done. And so it helps me kind of race against myself to hurry up and do it. I stay hyper focused. No phone, no emails, no interruptions, nothing. This is my time to focus on this. And then when the timer goes off, you take a 5-minute break. Stand up, walk around, go pet your dog, whatever. Come back in 5 minutes, sit down again, another 20, 25 minutes. Focus, work, take another break. And after you've done this 3 or 4 times, then you take a 15 or 20-minute break. But scheduling tiny little breaks throughout the day, it helps me with my self-care, reminds me that, I need to drink water and maybe eat something during the day. And it is important. So taking those short breaks during the workday is going and ensure also that you take, vacations and take your days off. That's going to recharge and help you be more present when you spend time with your spouse and family. And one thing I also like to do is have a little daily check-in with your spouse. It, it doesn't aside from the, hey, make sure you pick up milk tonight, or you got to drop the kids off at soccer practice or pick the kids up at soccer practice, whatever. We have those texts that we're doing throughout the day, but make time, usually during your lunch hour, just to send a little text. I love you. I'm thinking about you. It can be flirty, whatever, but just a nice little thing like that throughout the day. Just a nice thing to have. And it helps you feel more connected to your sweetheart. Okay, we need to add this word to our vocabulary, and it's one of the shortest words in the English language. No. Learn how to say no. Don't overcommit yourself in your business without talking to your spouse first. Be willing to decline some of those opportunities, clients that are going to put an excessive strain on your time and energy. It's okay to say no. If someone comes in with a 14-foot by 23-foot gigantic oversized piece they want you to do, and of course they only want to pay, $1,000 for it, they should be paying $10,000 for it or more. It's okay to say no. I don't want to do that. I don't want to overcommit. If it's going to cause problems in your marriage, it's probably okay to turn some of those things down. Or at the very least, talk to your spouse and say, hey, I have this opportunity. It's gonna make us some money, I think. What do you think? But the time commitment is gonna be pretty extreme. Are you prepared for that? If they say yeah, great. If they say no, no problem. And that's where it comes into, if you treat your relationship as a business owner, it's a team effort. That mutual support that you have is so valuable, because you are a team, even when you're tired. You are in this together. Your partner is your biggest fan and your sounding board, and probably the only person who truly understands why sometimes you zone out and stare blankly at the walls. And that said, a little appreciation for your partner and your sweetheart can go a really long way. And that can happen today. Acknowledge them by words. You say, I really appreciate you being patient. I know I've been spending a lot of time at the shop and you've been holding down the fort here at home. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I could never do this without your support. Thank them for picking up the slack and maybe even surprise them with, favorite dessert from the little bistro that they like. But those little gestures and niceties and expressing your appreciation speaks volumes, especially when you're both feeling overwhelmed. And if your spouse isn't a partner in your business, I think it's still important to involve them in what's going on sensibly. Of course, you don't need to bore them with every single little detail that they probably don't care about, but do involve them in the big decisions that are going to affect your family. And that just shows respect for your partner, and it prevents them from feeling like they're just an afterthought. Now, I'm a big proponent for seeking outside help and support. Therapy is a great thing, and I hope that we are working to destigmatize going to see a professional when we're struggling. You go see a professional to fix your car when it's over your skill set. There's nothing wrong with going in and making adjustments to your marriage periodically, just to make sure it's happy and healthy and that you're on the same page. So don't be afraid to seek out help from a therapist or coach if you're struggling to balance everything. A third person getting involved offers a different perspective, and they can give you some strategies on how to do better in your marriage. And I know a lot of us as small business owners, maybe our health insurance isn't the greatest because we can afford what we can afford or can't afford. So, but there are less expensive options. You can see your clergy person, BetterHelp. They have online forums that you can go on to. And even if you have to, sacrifice a little bit and pay a little extra money, maybe not go to Starbucks for a month or, save up a few bucks, whatever you pay for therapy, it is way, way, way cheaper than getting a divorce. I promise you. So go ahead and see the therapist. And on top of that, make sure that you trust and respect each other. talk to each other kindly, say please and thank you. Just those little niceties make you feel respected. And this is fundamental in every marriage. And it's especially crucial when the pressures of a business are present. And avoid those, I told you so moments and encourage each other when we make mistakes. So, as I don't want to overstate this, I probably already have, but yeah, running a business is really hard on relationships. And as I said at the beginning, the divorce rate is 5 to 10% higher for small business owners for divorce. And running a business is hard. Being married is hard. But the time commitment in a business and the financial struggles, and especially when you're first starting out, can test the most solid of any relationship. So if you intentionally apply the strategies that we talked about, if you're a small business owner, that can help you navigate some of those complexities of your demanding career and still foster a strong, happy, and fulfilling relationship. So yeah, business, balancing a business and a happy marriage is tough. There's going to be late nights, there's going to be stress, and probably more than a few arguments. And that is totally normal. You're not a unicorn there. But if you prioritize your relationship, communicate openly, set boundaries, support each other, you can absolutely build a successful business and a marriage that's still smiling, standing and smiling at the end of the day. So, thank you so much for joining me. That's a wrap of another episode of the Framing Chronicles. I know that running a small business often feels like you're trying to herd feral cats while blindfolded, and your home life sometimes feels like the cats are winning. Seriously, imagine a world where you're not answering emails under the restaurant table on your anniversary dinner. Don't do that. And your significant other actually remembers your name, and quality time doesn't involve you silently reviewing profit margins in your head. So, this mythical land of happy marriage, happy work life, it does exist. And my consulting firm, Strategies for Success, I have the map. So I'm here to help you tame those entrepreneurial beasts, streamline the chaos, and basically give you your evenings and weekends back. So we can go from work obsessed zombie and bad partner to beloved husband or wife. Seriously, visit me at My Strategies for Success. The number 4 is a number. And you can go to my website. You can schedule an appointment with me. Any new client who schedules an appointment with me gets 1 free hour of consulting time. And that, I promise, isn't a timeshare sell. I'm not going to try and sign you up to subscribe to my services or anything like that. We just go straight forward. Whatever you want to talk about, that's what we'll address during that. And that's worth $100. So please, I'd love you to schedule an appointment with me through my website. And if you can, like and subscribe this channel. Let me know in the comments what you think. What are some of the things you struggle with in your relationship? And let me know how I can help, or if there's other things that you'd like me to discuss in this forum that you're struggling with. I'm I'm certainly happy to do that. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I wish you all the best. Do something nice for your sweetheart this weekend. Even just tell him how much you appreciate him. It's going to be a game changer. You might even get some kisses. So thanks for joining me. I hope you have a great week, and we'll talk again next week.